Guys, Speed here, and today we are back with another 7.22 patch type of video, and today what we're going to be going over is specifically builds you can try out in your pubs so that you can have more success in your games. Right, with the new ags, I think the builds are very unclear, specifically on a lot of those heroes, so I'm going to be covering kind of how you can incorporate the ags, or just heroes that got buffs, and therefore you should try playing. Before we jump into the video, I want to let you guys know that you can check out guides just like this one made by top tier pros over at gameleap.com. We have thousands of guides that can teach you the game of Dota 2 in depth and help you gain MMR much quicker than you usually would. Now let's jump into it. First off, I want to start with a few honorable mentions for heroes that I think are particularly good this patch, but I wouldn't really change their item build. You can just kind of go to the same thing. I think Luna getting +4 base damage is fantastic. Right, it basically just allows her to last hit in lane and take more advantage of the fact that she gives Lunar Blessing, so fantastic in tri-lanes and an even better hard carry now. Meepo with the talent buffs and just relative changes that he got, in addition with Chen getting buffed, I think that combo is insane, so Chen Meepo, keep an eye out for that, or just Meepo in general. Arkwardin got a few, not quality of life changes, he got like turn rate, his new ags, which is bad. At least I think it's bad, and some talent buffs, so he's been getting buffed over the past couple patches, so keep an eye out for Arkwardin. And then Ancient Apparition, my last honorable mention. Few proteins have been picking him here and there, specifically as a counter to Morphling, so that he can't morph strength, but I think AA, with all the buffs he's been getting to Ice Vortex, and I think it's been mainly Ice Vortex buffs, he's very good in combination with like stun lineups, so if you laid him with a Sven or a Sand King, I think he has a lot of potential in providing that secondary stun, in addition a big amp to magical damage. Now let's get into the builds that I created with items. First off is Lycan. You want to rush ags, don't buy boots, basically you just rush ags, then right off the bat, like 12 minutes into the game, you're going to have 2 wolves spawning in each lane, the enemy team will get an XP advantage and you'll undoubtedly lose the game. Moving on, we have Core Willow. Now apparently IO Willow is like absurdly broken, so if you haven't heard about that yet, essentially IO provides Willow with ags and attack speed, and if you don't know what Willow's ags is, basically you stay in Shadow Realm and you get the burst damage for every auto attack. So with the IO ags and attack speed, you get everything you need. In addition, IO allows Willow to actually keep her farm up because IO can do the farming of the camps. In general, this combo sounds pretty deadly, but let's get into an item build that you can go if you don't have an IO. First off, I recommend you go mid or off lane. You buy 2 null talismans if you're mid, a wand, otherwise basically some early stats that help you trade and last hit better. And then after that, you either want to go treads or phase boots. If you think you're going to be farming, go treads. If you want to fight a little bit more, go phase. And then after that, you go Midas. This build's a little bit greedy, but basically you want to be able to get as many levels as possible. In addition, you want to get to your 25 at some point so you can get the 200 attack speed talent with your new Aghanim Scepter. That combination is crazy. You are one of the scariest late game heroes in the entire game. But after Midas, I recommend you go for either Glimmer Cape or Yule Scepter. This might sound a little bit weird, but I do believe you need a defensive item on Willow. So I think Glimmer Cape is a fantastic option. Gives a great defensive option, right? Some magical resistance, which Willow typically struggles against. And in addition, it gives you attack speed. Why wouldn't you want attack speed with your new ags upgrade? It just makes a lot of sense. But otherwise, you can go Yules to set up your typical combo and dispel things. And finally, to top off this build, you buy an ags, right? After you get your early stats, you get some attack speed, then you build into the ags. If you rush your ags and you don't have all this attack speed and stats, you're either just going to get bursted previous, or you're not going to have the attack speed to really make value of it. So I think this build will give you a really good balance. After that, we have Grimstroke. I think with this new axe, you are a fantastic pick against a large majority of agility cores. So if the enemy team has a hyper agility core carry, Luna, AM, Terrorblade, Void, any of these heroes that are naturally good at right-clicking, then Grimstroke, Aether Lens into ags is a fantastic build. Now you can buy like Stick in Between, Tranquils, Wand, whatever you want. But the most important parts are ags and Aether Lens, right? Probably the Aether Lens first. Now you can skip the Aether, right? If you think they're snowballing hard and you need to get to the ags as soon as possible to win the fight, then you can skip the Aether. But typically Aether allows you to actually get off your new ags ability in addition with Inkswell, Stroke of Fate, and Phantom's Embrace. So still would recommend the Aether, but then getting ags right after that. Moving on, we have Dragonite in the mid lane. safe lane or off lane. You can play him basically anywhere. I recommend you buy bracers for the early stats. This is common with the Dragonite Radiance build. But instead of Radiance, you're going to go 2 bracers into Treads into Midas. The purpose of the Midas is to get to your level 18 as soon as possible. Then you go for a Shadow Blade, so you can have mobility and fight early into either a BKB or Ags. So basically the idea of this build is early stats with Bracer and Treads, Midas to get attack speed, farm, and snowball, and get your level 18. Then you buy a Shadow Blade, because you want to keep up your DPS. You're going to be more of a right clicker. And then if you really need a BKB, let's say they have a lot of magical damage, you buy the BKB next. You're not changing up the build too much, but then after that you want to incorporate the Ags. Once again, this build is based around the right click and having good stats as well as potential magic immunity with BKB to really abuse the Ags, which is probably going to be your 4th or 5th item. Now you could make the argument with the Ags, it gives you 30% magic resistance. Do I need a BKB? Well, yes, you still want to be able to auto attack people. But if they're purely magical damage, like a Skywrath Pugna Zeus type of deal, then you can just skip the BKB. Moving on, we have a personal favorite of mine. I love Beastmaster. Not only that, I love him so much that I'm going to make a video on how you can play him mid lane and farm faster than potentially any other hero in Dota. I mean this. Like, I played a practice match against one of my students. I got level 17, I believe, at the 15-minute mark. Yeah, level 17 at the 15-minute mark. More than 1,000 XPM in my last game. That was different, but like in an actual match, more than 1,000 XPM. And I think I doubled the net worth of my opponents. Something insane. Basically, this hero farms bonkers fast, and with this new Ags, whew. First off, you want to go phase boots, especially if you're playing in the off lane. Now, if you're playing mid, I'm still experimenting. I'm not going to lie, guys. There are infinite options of items you can go on this version of Beastmaster. I'm going to pick out a few, so you kind of have a general idea of what's good. But the main idea here is the skill build. I'm going to recommend you start maxing your axes and inner beast again. Now, take into consideration, you do not have to do this. You can still go Ags and max out your boar. Why would you want to do this? If you're playing off lane, you often want to block the pole camp, which requires you to level your hawk. That's very important to do. In addition, it is more mana reliant or cost efficient to have boars to farm rather than axes. So I think it is logical to still go for the boar in the early game, but you want to make sure you get to the XP talent as fast as possible so that you can have the axes by the time you get your Ags, right? Your axes maxed out, I should say. So before that, you want to buy phase boots, a medallion, magic wand, ring of Bassi, maybe a casual blightstone as well. I think these are some of the core items. Bassi is fantastic, gives you mana regen and the ability to push, especially if you only take wild axes. Medallion gives you amp damage to your wild axes and your right clicks. Phase boots self-explanatory, and then wand, you do need mana sustain and the ability to man up if you're going to go this like right click based build. So I think that's a fantastic build up. I tried going Solar Crest, Vlad's, and drums as well. I think these are all very good options. Drums gives you good movement speed and mana regeneration, so that build makes a lot of sense as well. And then at the end of this, you want to buy Ags. Hopefully you guys can kind of see the common theme here. You don't buy Ags as a first or second item. Some of these upgrades are fantastic, but rushing it is bad. It's just bad. Ags doesn't have good build up, you have no sustain, you have no early game damage. It will ruin your game if you try to rush it. Not only that, when you get it, it will be very underwhelming. So buy all these small items, then pick up the Ags 4th or 5th. Or maybe even 3rd if you're really like feeling it. After that, it's Bristle. Now Bristle doesn't have an Ags. Well, he does, but one I would recommend. But I think with the armor changes and the buff to Warpath, Bristle is scary. This hero as is a pub dominator, right? You naturally are good in pubs because people overcommit on you and don't know their limits, and therefore they just kind of feed and kill themselves on you. So now that you have 1 more armor, you're even harder to kill and you're a better laner. And you get your level 6 earlier, which got buffed. So basically, going some sort of a right-click build based around your Warpath, I think is fantastic. Now you can still go the standard like Vanguard, Pipe, Crimson, that type of shenanigans. But I'm recommending that you go stick, right? You buy your stick, boots, bracer for early stats, maybe a wand. Then you go bottle. So instead of sustaining with a ring of regen, you go bottle around like the 4 or 5 minute mark. You want to try to get it into treads, into drums. Now I didn't complete this build. You can kind of go any item you want after that, like BKB, AC, Sanjinyasha, any of like the typical right click builds for strength heroes. But the buildup of bracer, like wand, bracer, bottle, treads, drums, it makes you really fast. You do a lot of damage, and with the drums attack speed, you really maximize the damage you get from Warpath. So I think the treads, drums makes a lot of sense, right? You get movement speed as is from your ultimate. You slow people with your Q, which Trust me, take goo. Don't skip goo. You must take goo in this build at least 1 point. Fantastic value point, probably the best in the game actually, and really just beat people down. Moving on from that, probably the most buff support of this game, at least from what I've heard, is Chen. The aura you get from Divine Favor now gives 4 HP regeneration, I believe 20 healing amp, and 16 damage to everything around you, including 2 times for your units. So if you have the 4 units that you can get, then you're going to have, what, a total of, let's do some quick math, like 128 extra damage, something insane. It's really just insane how much damage Chen does now and how much you actually buff your teammates. Comboing this with like a jug, healing ward, that's some spicy stuff. But moving on to the item build, you want to get a medallion as fast as possible. So like brown boot stick medallion. Of course, you're buying the wards, you're still going to play position 5, but you want to get medallion as fast as possible. With the damage that your units have and the fact that they get a movement speed buff as well now from Holy Persuasion, means that having a medallion just rips through people. After that, you can even pick up a casual Blightstone after your medallion just to even amp your minus armor even more. But then moving on, you want to either get a Vlad's, Bassi, or Buckler. Basically, you're building up armor and tankiness, so you can even buy bracers and wands, and then you just want to run into the fight with your units, tank spells, tank damage, and just ravage backline supports and even squish your cores with your units. Moving on, we have Clinks. This is our second to last build, but we have Clinks. The strength of Clinks is his ability to kind of fight early with his ultimate, and I think with this new axe, you can even fight potentially without your ultimate. So what I'm going to recommend you do is go 2 or 3 Wraith Bands to start, playing him in the mid lane naturally, into either Brown Boots or Treads, kind of depending on how much stats you feel like you want or need, into Medallion, that's your DPS item. Then, the only other option you have, I would still recommend going like Wraith, Treads, Medallion, basically every game, or you can go Dragonlance, like right after the Medallion. If you don't want to go Dragonlance, you can then straight rush the axe. Basically, once you have Wraith Bands, Treads, and Medallion, you do plenty of damage to kill the majority of heroes, especially with your ultimate. And if you rush the axe afterwards, you get pretty good stats to keep you alive, right? Because you're a squishy hero, so pretty decent stats. You can build it up with the edgy component, which gives you a little bit more damage, but you don't really struggle in that damage department for the most part. And yeah, then you can basically abuse the fact that you can summon 4 skeletons right next to anyone. If you come out of invis, use it again and come out again. This combo gives you a lot of burst damage and allows you to fight without your ultimate, so I'm thinking there's some viability there. And moving on to the final build that I would recommend you try in patch 7.22 is Death Prophet. In my opinion, she got one of the better Ags upgrades. That's what it seems to be, at least, based on some of the pro scene results or impact that I've seen. And what I would recommend is playing her mid. You can play her safe lane actually, but for the most part you want levels, so mid. You buy Null Talisman, potentially a bottle if you really feel like you need to sustain, otherwise you just buy like Wand and more Null Talismans. Phase Boots or Treads into Yules. Yules is your catch-up item. It allows you to fight and sustain your farming patterns, as well as have a defensive option into either BKB or Solar Crest. These are kind of your tanky items. If they're purely physical damage, you can skip the BKB, go Solar Crest, or some other tanky item. But if they're still magical, Yules typically doesn't cut it, and you still want the BKB. If you're really, really greedy, sure, skip it, but I really recommend buying BKB. And then after that, you pick up the Ags. You could go Yules into Ags, but I think it's really nice to have 2 defensive items. Even if you go something like Yules Glimmer, this build is very good as well. Glimmer is very underrated on Death Prophet. And yeah, then you pick up your Ags as your kind of like 4th or 5th like big item, maybe 3rd, I guess, if you are taking out the Glimmer or the BKB. But yeah, hopefully that kind of makes sense, where a lot of these builds, you want to buy these early stat items, snowball your laning stage, pick up the Ags, and hit an insane timing. I think that's the key for a lot of these Ags heroes in this patch. You buy your early game items, really try to crush your laning stage while people are rushing their garbage early game Ags. And then when you hit your advantage in your timing, you will typically have the ability to snowball, get the components for Ags, even though it does have a poor build up, and hit that timing in which you just burst everybody. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please do like and subscribe, and of course I recommend going to check out the gameleap website, where I'm going to make that Beastmaster guide about how to farm absurdly fast on the hero and abuse the new Ags. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.
Tick